Hi guys, welcome back to Sam Talks Cars. Sorry this podcast, I think it's episode 3. Sorry it's a little bit late this week. I'd like to say I've been really busy. I've been playing with my car, bought a new watch, been napping a lot. It's strange what lockdown does to us. It really changes how you are and it's very, very boring if you're not at work. Anyway, this week we're going to talk about what happened to my supercharged B7 RS4 because I will admit, to most people that knew me, it just kind of vanished, really. So we're going to cover the story. Let's get to it. So if you've seen any of my other articles, you know I've been a long-term RS4 owner. However, the last of which quickly disappeared. Here's why. The RS4 was my daily driver and an incredibly effective piece of kit. However, due to its forced induction and 200 brake horsepower over standard guise, it required strict servicing intervals. So my friend and I ordered some upgraded Iridium NGK plugs and 10 litres of Miller's Nanotech oils. We then set to work on a major service. This went successfully and the car performed better than ever with a quicker start up and smoother revving. When I first got the car, it had a really rough start, and obviously when you think of a car not starting, you immediately look at the battery, you look at the starter motor. I replaced the battery, I tested the starter motor, couldn't find fault with it, so I thought probably safest to do a major service, and the upgraded plugs that were brand spanking new, seemed to rectify the cold start issue. They were really, really coked up. The car must have been running so rich. So the actual plan later down the line was to go for a map tweak, basically. But this is where it gets emotional. 10 to 15 miles up the road, a knocking noise started, and the car felt massively down on power. I feared I'd trash the supercharger kit or potentially a fuel pump, which in the grand scheme of things would have been fairly minor. Alas, this was not the case. I didn't like the sound of what I heard, so I made a tough decision. The car had 178,000 miles by this point, so it was effectively worth bugger all in one piece. I broke the car for parts, first removing its 20-inch BBS CHR wheels and ceramic brakes, followed quickly by the surprisingly pristine bucket seats and flat-bottom steering wheel, which when you think they've been in the car originally from new, so nearly 180,000 miles of wear, and both the bucket seat bolsters and the steering wheel were pretty much immaculate. All I ever did was throw leather cleaner and conditioner at them, and they looked pristine. The TTS Supercharger kit did me proud. It brought in £9,250 on its own with the ECUs, and the new gearbox and supercharger unit had just been replaced by MRC tuning. I think maybe I'd put 3,000 miles on it, so it's effectively a brand new supercharger kit for borderline half price. A friend of mine had unfortunately crashed his RS4 at a similar time. This meant the sale of my complete front end and more money back in my pocket. Who was it? I think it was Joey. I think Joey had a bit of an unfortunate moment with his saloon. Everything from pretty much the front radiator pack, the crash bar, the headlights, the bumper. He wanted the wings, but due to the unique way Germans build cars like tanks, I could not get the wings off. So yeah, pretty much everything other than the bonnet forward, he had to reassemble his car, and I can report it is back running. So, good for him, good for me. Once the supercharger had departed my friend, Luke, who's on Instagram, I'll place his handle at the end of this article. He removed the engine and gearbox from the B7 for me. He's now started to strip and clean the block, and as you'll see above, those pictures, I'll tag these in the video, there's a pair of trashed rod bearings that failed. There's another piston's bearings are also on the verge of failure. This enabled the piston to drop compression and punch the head of the engine. This explains the sound I was hearing, and it again explains the massive loss of power because there was no compression in at least 2 cylinders. The RS4 was worth maybe £10,000 for the wrecked engine, which at the time was undiagnosed. Even with its supercharger kit present, I believe by the time I've taken the car apart, pending payment, I think, of the gearbox, I've made around £10,000 or £11,000 over my initial investment. I had traded my B5 RS4 for the supercharged B7. I think the B5, as I've mentioned before, it owed me about £16,000, but I sold a couple of bits as well, so about 15,800 or so. So realistically, from a wrecked engine and a dead B7, I made about £25,000. Because if you think about all the really daft things on it, so mirrors on a B7 RS4 are about £400, a pair of front wings are about £500 or £600, headlights are £600 or £700. The list goes on. There's so many daft things. I mean, brakes, the standard 8-pot pistons. If you've got decent discs and pads on those. They're probably £800 to £900. Wheels, if you're smart, I sold mine because I did have a standard set with the car. People need spares. Mine came with Michelin Pilot Sport 3s on them. They had pretty much 7mm of tread. They were brand spanking new. Nobody's going to pay £1,000 for a set of wheels, but 4 people will spend £250 each to have a spare wheel. And they were slightly curved, but apart from that, they were a really good setup because the tyres were so good. So there really are ways to make a lot of money. I mean, I could have made another £2,000, £3,000, maybe £4,000 if the engine hadn't gone bang. Admittedly, you'd then question why I was taking it apart, but you know, the V8 from the RS4 is quite a valuable engine, so I could have made even more money. But I gave it to Luke in good faith because he basically took the Supercharger kit off for me. I broke the rest of the car, but he fitted his own kit. He helped develop a few bits, and he's also put water meth on his. So I was happy that he was the guy to do it for me because I just didn't want to risk messing it up. Anyway, back to the B5. The B5 was dyno the other day with its new owner, and it made 440 brake horsepower, 630 newton meters at the crank, and it explains why it was quite such an aggressive car, to be fair. So what's next? Well, Luke, as I've mentioned, has got my engine and gave me a lot of help stripping the B7 down. He's at Luke RS4 on Instagram with a little underline underscore thing in between. He's going to heavily document the rebuild and reconditioning process. And it's a relief to know the power plant of my ex-daily will be living on in another car and making boosted horsepower for years to come. The rolling chassis was sold on, which itself will be going through an interesting transition over the next 2 years or so. I think off the top of my head it was a twin-turbo V8 from the C7 era. I don't know if it's an S engine or an RS engine, but it should be something around 500 brake horsepower, so I'm really quite keen to see what happens with that. I have currently stepped away from fast Audis for the time being, but I do feel there's potential for another one when the time comes. However, I'm going to enjoy Godzilla, but for the last time, I'm going to stick a picture up of the RS4, looking its very best. It's truly one of my dream cars, and I'm honoured to have owned a supercharged one. The B7 RS4 is a very difficult act to follow, and the GTR has got a lot to live up to. But yeah, that summarises pretty much the story of the B7 RS4. The rod bearings went, piston punched the head, got a horrific knocking noise. I can't even begin to explain what it sounds like, but it died a warrior's death, really. 180,000 miles nearly. And I don't think when it was supercharged, it ever made less than 600 horsepower at the crank. So it was a strong power plant until it let go. Full service history. Oil changed every 5,000 miles since it was supercharged, so it was really well cared for. But I have seen other supercharged RS4s fail in similar ways, unfortunately. They're not as well documented, but I think there's another 3 or 4 that have gone the same way. I spoke to a good friend of mine who is a mechanic. He says because of where the catalysts are on a standard car, the pistons at the back of the engine get so hot. And he said that could have helped when it was a standard car at 85,000 miles. So yeah, at 85,000 miles with its cats in. So he said that could have easily started to pre-cook those back 2 cylinders. But we'll never know. All I can do is gas. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this. I will hopefully be back on track and I'll catch you next week. Thank you.